Mr. Blahoslav Němeček from EY.
Many thanks. So I will share my presentation with you. So first, many thanks for invitation to your conference. My role today is to give you some, I'd say maybe some thoughts, some ideas about future role of flexibility in the Czech Republic and what I would say the current status and expected development of, let's say, the handling of the flexibility in the Czech market. So I would start with a global trends where we try to describe it through a 3D concept. Sometimes I say 4 because 4th D would be disruption, which is everywhere present, and all changes which we will present is really big change compared to the current situation, current setup in the market. So, but this is, I'd say, a common denominator of all these activities. So we can stay with the 3. It's clear that decarbonization targets are present, and decarbonization means at first the reduction of CO2 emissions, but only way how to achieve it is through a higher share of green energy in a consumption. And here are comparison of the percentages where we are now, or we were in 2020, and where we have to move to 2030. Here are shares of green energy in a final consumption in 3 main sectors: electricity, transport, and heating and cooling, which is explicitly mentioned in the European directive, which has to be implemented. But my personal opinion is that mainly in area of electricity, these share in reality at 2030 will be significantly higher. And why? It's because of the demand and request to consume only green energy will be, I would say, common mainly for industrial customers and B2B business. But later I would expect the change of the mindset also of final customers and households, and that also households will require green energy from suppliers of energy. So definitely where is demand, there is also supply, and therefore I expect much more higher share of green energy in final consumption. The decarbonization is pushing the second main trend, decentralization, and this concept switch from big, I'd say, system units and big power plants to smaller units and creating a small blocks. Also, I'd say, provoke and initiate the sharing of energy among smaller players and usage of new technologies like batteries, etc. So this is, I'd say, the second big pillar and enabler of the future setup. And what is unavoidable, talking about previous 2 trends, is digitization. The grid has to be fully digitized. We can say smart grid, and to be for effective operation of the smart grid, it's necessary to optimize assets, which has to be part of the smart grid. And main purpose of this automation and digitization of the system is to create the chance for demand side response and participation of demand side on the operation of the grid and the offer of the flexibility, etc. So these are main 3 trends which we have to somehow manage in coming years. And the same what I said is in this scheme, in this picture. And common idea here is that everything will strongly depends on data, and I'd say smart data management. As I mentioned, we have switched from central generation into decentral small units, and creating digital virtual plants, which will be summarized together, these small units, into the bigger virtual plants. It's a generation side, the biggest change in the generation side, and on the consumption side, we expect really increasing share of mainly of solar technology, but together with the smart city concept, I'd say the strengthening of energy efficiency trends in buildings, in cities, etc. Together with batteries. Batteries will be installed in generation plants as well as in the customers' places, and the for example, industrial customers will use the batteries for not only for storage of energy, but also for the other purposes, to improve the quality, to avoid any small interruptions, etc. So there are many other reasons why this technology has a role at the customer side, and we definitely expect the rapid growth of prosumer concept, where new houses with heating pumps, with a solar, with batteries, will be an ideal source of future flexibility for the market. And the energy will still flow as Kerhoff role says, but the money and the behavior and let's say cooperation among players will strongly depend on data among these players, the data exchange among these players. And definitely one big player in the market will be e-mobility and charging technologies, and also I'd say telco operators in this business, because everybody will ask the data about, I would say, availability of the charging point, etc. So again, it's a big, potentially big player in a flexibility market in future. So if I express what are key enablers and where we see potential obstacles, so definitely the aggregation in flexibility in the Czech Republic will start in real life after implementation of the directive requirements into the energy law. The current work is ongoing, and the earliest income into force could be expected somewhere in 2022, maybe January 23. It's I'd say the best estimation, but we will see after election this year how long we will wait for government, etc., for their policy. But definitely the directive should be implemented since January this year, so we are delayed, and definitely it blocks, I'd say, some natural development in this area. Definitely some kind of flexibility is present in the market now and can be offered as an integrated service via current market players, but independent aggregators and I'd say wider and more digitized participation of the flexibility from demand side, it's still blocked, and or it's the definition of the playing field is not present, and therefore this market is not developing well. What is key enabler mainly for low voltage level is smart meter rollout in the Czech Republic. Now we are delayed behind Western Europe, but plan is here. The rollout should start in 24. and at first stage, customers with a consumption higher than 6 megawatt hours should be in first stage of installment. But frankly said, the current decree saying this target was based on, let's say, previous understanding of the European legislation, and after implementation of new obligation, Czech Republic should provide cost-benefit analysis which would take into account, let's say, current situation, current cost, and potential benefits of the rollout. And my personal opinion is that this policy will be changed, and the, let's say, more intensive rollout will be faster and more intensive. Maybe it's fine to say also some obstacles which could create some, let's say, delay in a implementation or natural development of the market, and one of them is potential late smart metering rollout. It's a, as I said, key enabler for low voltage level, but for demand side participation in ancillary services market, for example, there could be also maybe potential obstacle if there be some political pleasure on a postponement of the coal phase out, which will, I'd say, keep in the market these coal facilities, and this I'd say their participation in the market could block the active participation of the demand side, for example. So that's the potential risk. As I said, future world is about big data, and lack of competencies and experience with big data in a market players could also cause some delay. And finally, the position and approach of the CHEPs as a transmission system operator and body who's responsible for frequency services. It's a key, and if they, I'd say, change their current position, and they will, I'd say, block the opening of the market in this part, it's also potential risk for natural development. We expect that the usage of the flexibility will come in two waves. Definitely, first wave will composed from production part and big industrial customers on demand side. This could start immediately, and everything depends on the, let's say, technical rules, the certification of the assets for ancillary services, etc. So that's present, and I strongly believe that it's really open for competition, and I expect a very, let's say, rapid participation after these small technical adjustments for the market entry. And second wave will be based on prosumers' participation and the demand side response from this voltage level. And as I mentioned, as a precondition for this participation, it's necessary to have smart meter at that points, and rollout will start 24. Therefore, we expect this second wave and delay in this part. We expect three main, let's say, trading or market platforms or places for flexibility, which will be offered through aggregators. The first part is ancillary services purchased by transmission system operator. The second, non-frequency ancillary services for distribution system operators for load management and congestion management problems in distribution level, etc. And what is possible now and will only increase is active participation in a commodity market, especially in intraday, where we expect the growing share of the flexibility traded at that platform. And one concrete example why we are optimist for participation of demand side in the market is that this example is from UK. In United Kingdom, they open ancillary services for demand side in 2018, and in 19. And the share of demand side was among 50% of balancing services immediately. So the potential is really high, and definitely we can expect that it will lead to reduction of the price, probably because the demand side will be probably cheaper than the generation side, the services which are present at that stage. So let's move to the sources of flexibility and potential clients of aggregators. Definitely, here are not small generation units. Now I'm focused on demand side and the other, let's say, technologies which will be source of flexibility. And definitely batteries, it's clear that they will play a very significant role. And at first stage, the positive business case will be ensured in production side and consumption side, because as I mentioned, the role of battery at that point is not only to purely consume the store the energy, but they have other functions. For example, if we are talking about generation side, battery could rapidly change the ramp and speed of the block as itself. So it could cause the switch from, let's say, lower or slower services into quicker. And in customer side, it could also cover other services like peak shaving, etc. So definitely these business cases will be first in the money, and will be offered, the flexibility from these facilities will be offered from these sites into the market. We also believe that e-mobility in future will play a significant role in the market of the flexibility, and definitely prosumer concept and participation of the facilities at households will play a role. But if we are talking about the households and these prosumer concept, we expect that this flexibility will be in the market present not via independent aggregators, but probably via integrated aggregators or suppliers. That's a better name, and or I'd say some energy service providers, as ESCO services, which will be typically delivered by current suppliers in the market. So let's move to the other slide, and we'd like to share some numbers showing that situation is ready and will be growing. The potential flexibility will grow in coming years. Here are mentioned several projects where small production units are centralized via virtual blocks, and 3 concrete examples from the market: Czech and their VHP units, total capacity 117 megawatts. Nano Energies launch information that they will create portfolio sources with an install capacity more than 100 megawatts, and also big player in the market, and Energy Energo creates a virtual block composed from several small units with a capacity 10 megawatts. So definitely, these are only examples, but here are players concentrating, for example, several bioplant stations, etc. So, and this concept creating of blocks will significantly grow. There are also chance for energy communities to participate in this market, and here are some statistic numbers about potential candidates for energy communities, like small municipalities, housing units, agriculture cooperatives, housing cooperatives, and there is only question mark which percentage of, let's say, this bodies will create energy community and will participate in the market with the flexibility. And last but not least is potential of e-mobility. E-mobility is still at the beginning as a phenomenon, but we'd like to share with you some characteristics and what is important to take into account, that new legislation is, let's say, requiring new targets since January this year. It means that this year is the first one where the automotive industry has to produce and has to sell into the market some unavoidable share of e-cars to avoid any fines from European Commission for not fulfillment of the targets. And if the growth of the share of e-cars in Czech Republic is present, if we compare, for example, the number of e-cars which was planned in the National Plan of Clean Mobility in 2020, it was 5,200, and reality in 2020 was 7,109. So that's showing that the real growth is sharper than planned. And what we see in Germany, for example, that share of new registered e-cars is around 10%, and we expect that this will grow, and let's say maybe with 2-3 years delay, this will happen also in the Czech Republic. And let's move to the. I mentioned that the key element of the work with flexibility is data exchange and data management, and this is the reason why Czech bodies, regulator, ministry, and key players discussed what will be the best setup for the market data exchange among all interested parties. And current stage of the discussions that we need some, let's say, centralized data management to fulfill the requirements of the directive. This was discussed and, let's say, assessed as the best way how to manage it, and therefore CHEPs and other players opened the debate about setup of the data hub. Data hub is present also in many Western markets where distribution system operators, after smart meters rollout, decided to share and create some common standard via common data hub, and we, let's say, follow this way. And if I say some let's say more details about the potential future concept of the data hub in the Czech Republic, it's that this should compose from 4 modules. The first one would be for core market data and processes, and in this model there should be I would say there should be checked which kind of data should be available for whom. That's the basic purpose. The second pillar or second module will work with smart meter data from smart meters, and there will be some artificial intelligence also changing or adjusting some doubts, etc. So that's the basic role of this module. The third one is a module for flexibility, and here we have two parts. One is I'd say the trading, and second one is technical. We have to take into account that flexibility can be somehow, let's say, optimized or reduced due to the problems in the grid. So distributors here will use the lights red, green, orange as a signals which concrete connection points would or wouldn't be available for flexibility. So that's the key role of this module. And the last one will be the module where data, adjusted data from the meters and expected, let's say, taking into account the rules for activating of the and deactivating of the flexibility will be optimized and will be prepared for other players for further billing. So this is the main role of the fourth module. And the data hub will have, let's say, infrastructure players behind, market operator, TSO, regional DSOs, and local DSOs. And in front, they will produce and prepare the data for all wholesale participants and users like suppliers, aggregators, energy communities, and prosumers or generators. And on the left side of the slide, you can see some timeline where till the end of this year, we should have some, let's say, technical design available. Some, let's say, basic view or basic design should be available this summer, but later this will be elaborated into more technical details. So definitely end of the year will give a full picture for future development. And as I mentioned, we have to, for, let's say, full utilization of this tool, we have to wait for new law, and as well as on low voltage level, we have to wait for intelligent smart meters rollout. So that's other let's say milestones in the roadmap. And what is, I would say, key problem, it's not problem, it's a challenge, is to set up, let's say, the fair compensation among flexibility providers and the, let's say, suppliers which are delivering the rest of energy to the consumption point. And the system has to be fair, and therefore to set up these fair rules, Czech Republic decided to establish a data hub where the algorithms there should ensure the fair rules for these, let's say, compensation, and also to allow to open the market for independent aggregators, which should contact customers without any communication with current supplier. Maybe one final slide where is expressed which trading platform which will be used in future, and which data will be used from which meter points for commercial flexibility, which is, let's say, available now, and in future there will be only expected growth of demand side flexibility. We expect that the data for the settlement will be definitely from DSO measurement, from connection point, and baselines will be available in Data Hub, and Data Hub will ensure the settlement of the flexibility and will give, I'd say, information for financial settlement for market operator for this part, which play a role in balance settlement in the market. There are other, let's say, other two potential markets, as I mentioned. It's balancing flexibility for TSO and for DSO. For TSO, it's a frequency services, and for DSO only non-frequency or redispatch. And as I mentioned, we also expect different, I'd say, rules for high voltage or very high voltage level, and for low voltage, for the medium and high voltage level. We expect that rules will be available next year, and the flexibility in this part of the market will be available for these players. And on low voltage level, we have to wait for smart meter rollout. And what is still under discussion is which kind of measurement will be used. Definitely for balancing services for TSO, it's necessary to take into account, I'd say, the real change of the production or consumption of concrete feasibility, which will be certified. But again, we have to check that this change of the production or consumption concrete facility is also mirrored in a connection point of the plant or of the consumption point. So this is still discussion what should play primary role and what will be the second for checking. And on low voltage level, it should be less complicated because it will be in a mess. And here we expect that it will be again based on the meters from connection points. So that's what I've prepared for you. We have maybe a couple of minutes for questions. And in my presentation, which will be probably available for you later, I also add to back up some pilot projects showing what is how is possible to think about future flexibility. And some of these pilot projects or concepts are really interesting, and I strongly recommend you to go to the website and check the information about them. So many thanks, and I'm ready for questions.
Okay, thank you very much for nice presentation describing the flexibility of energy market and aggregation. So we don't have much time for question, in fact, but I think it deserves. So
yeah, good afternoon, Slavek. Good to have you here. My first question actually would be to what I have seen in the presentation. It's you don't have to answer if you don't want to. It's related to a data hub. I saw there's some timeline. Unicorn also has been somehow involved, for example, in the Nordic data hubs in a sense. And we know what kind of challenging projects those are. So I was surprised to see such a challenging timeline there in case of Czech Republic. So it was just the one notice from my end. But as I said, you don't have to answer. Should you? Yeah.
So yeah, it's challenging, but as we mentioned, we are delayed in implementation of the rules, but it doesn't mean that players are not ready. The technologies are here, and they are requesting the platforms and possibility to offer their services. So we think that we should take this into account, and Data Hub or other maybe temporary solutions should allow to participate the technologies which are let's say matured now. And discussion was also about some stages of the development and functions which will be available. So at first, definitely for big customers, demand side response and the production facilities creating the virtual blocks, it's definitely it has to work as soon as possible. And later, after 24, it should also fulfill the requirements for low voltage level. So that's what is behind.
Looking forward seeing this in action with our procurement processes. Okay, but let's go to the real business. I have one more question, so I'd like to ask you for a really short answer. We already touched that topic during the morning without any plans, but we did because there were even questions to that. We were talking about the prosumers, about the timing when the physical persons like we will be able to join the energy markets. I'm touching the flexibility, the aggregators, and as I said, the prosumers on the lowest levels of the energy networks. So what do you think that could be the game changer here in Czech Republic? I think you were mentioning some economical barriers, let's say, for these demand or generation types of resources on these levels of voltages. So do you think is there any hope for us to be part of this game soon, let's say?
That I'd say maybe two point of view. The first one is that if you are talking about independent aggregators, definitely this concept will work at first on mainly medium voltage level. And if this business concept will work well, the aggregators will probably create software tools and will invest into that to be able to also to offer the service for low voltage layer for households. But on the other hand, via integrated aggregators, which is supplier, the customers or prosumers are they have a chance to participate indirectly immediately, and it's present in the market. For example, if we take into account some products which are present in the market, like virtual batteries or something like that, the flexibilities of these customers when they, I'd say, inject or pump their, let's say, electricity which is produced in their roof power plant but not consumed at that consumption place is let's say delivered to the grid, and these customers has a right to consume the energy equivalent at other time with the equal price. And this energy is in portfolio of balancing responsible party or supplier, and supplier work actively in the market with this, I would say, extra produced electricity. So indirectly, this kind of flexibility is, for example, for intraday purpose is present now. So this is not visible because this not has a mark that this is prosumer flexibility, but the energy is there. So, and I strongly believe that because of the expected rapid growth of solar plants and batteries, etc., this kind of tools will be much more common, and this kind of electricity will be in the wholesale market, and later also for ancillary services as well.
Yeah, there has been a talks about the smart grids for some years already. We know that now it seems that the time is coming for these changes to become real. So let's hope that we will see them soon deployed. Thank you very much, Slavek. It was a pleasure having you here. Thank you for your presentation.
Thank you.
Many thanks, Daniel. Have a nice day. Bye bye.
Have a nice day.